Hi, and welcome to Introduction to Meditation, online and live on YouTube. This is week one of a 12-week course that I've been teaching for a few years now, but I've mostly done it in person. Unfortunately, the coronavirus has forced me to join the 21st century and try and work out how to put this online. But I have a confession up front, which is that this is my first one of these live broadcasts, and I'm pretty nervous and feeling very out of my depth. But fingers crossed, and forgive me if this is a little clunky and I have to check my notes in various different places. But thank you very much for all joining. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Justin Comer. I've been meditating for about 30 years and teaching on and off for about 20. I like to say that doesn't make me an expert. I'm not a guru. I'm not a spiritual teacher. But I have practiced a lot. I've studied a lot of different techniques, a lot of different traditions. I get a lot out of practicing meditation, and I get a lot out of sharing meditation. Many of you are here with me live, but this is going to be on YouTube afterwards. So for anybody who's watching the recording, it did seem to me sensible to at least try and put this in some context. It's early April 2020. Right now, as I'm talking, I think there's approximately 1 million people have tested positive for coronavirus. The world is largely on lockdown. Many people are sick. Many have already died, and unfortunately, many more are going to die. In the last few weeks, our lives have all been turned upside down. Many businesses are on hold. Most of us are in isolation. We are all facing this very real threat to our health, and also to the health and survival of our loved ones. There's also a great deal of uncertainty regarding what life is going to look like. What many people are already dealing with huge financial impacts, and many of the rest of us have no idea what the long-term effect of this is going to be. There's an enormous amount of fear, anxiety, confusion, some sadness, anger, frustration with the current state of affairs. That's the reality of today. And tonight's class is not going to change that reality. And yet, I'd like to ask you tonight, just for the next 90 minutes or so, to see if you can try and put that reality on hold. It's not to say that it's going to go away, but just see if you can put it on hold just for the next 90 minutes. See if you can shut down your email. Maybe close all the other apps, the different windows on your phone and computers. If you can, I'm going to ask you to turn off your notifications. And it's not because I want you to pay close attention to what I'm going to say. I mean, of course, I have an ego. I would love you to listen to what I have to say, but that's not actually the reason. I want you to try and put this on hold for 90 minutes. It is that there's an enormous challenge that we're all facing right now, and it's pretty relentless. It's all day, every day. And I just want to see if we can, and this is sort of a meditative exercise in and of itself, but to see if we can just put it on hold for 90 minutes, just to take a pause. The world is still going to be the world at the end of the 90 minutes. But if we can just take a moment, just take a few minutes to just try and put our minds somewhere else, then at the end of the 90 minutes, we can go back to our reality, but hopefully with a little bit more peace, a little bit more calm, and a little bit more clarity as we try to deal with this very difficult situation. So that's a lot of talking. I want to get started as quickly as possible. I'm guessing that there are some people who have never meditated before, and if you are one of those people, I'd just like to say welcome. And thank you for joining. This is week 1 of a 12-week series, so you're in exactly the right place. And I just want to acknowledge, I think you're very brave for giving this weird meditation thing a go. And I'm sure you're filled with like doubts and wondering how does it all work and all sorts of things probably. But the most important thing I want to stress for you is please to relax. This is probably going to be a lot easier and simpler than you think it is. So the other thing I would ask you to do is just to do your best. So we're going to do a bunch of meditation this week and every week, and I'll do some talking. But the most important thing is just during the exercises is just to try your best. And the only other thing, and I'd say this to everybody, is to see if you can. It's obviously human nature to judge these things and to decide whether you like it, whether you don't like it, if you think I'm making sense or not making sense or whatever. And you want to sort of judge it and see if it's working, if it's not working, if you agree with what I'm saying or something like that. And what I'd like you to do, if possible, is to try to avoid doing that. Or if you notice that you're judging it and you're trying to say, okay, is it working? Do I like it? Do I dislike it? Just see if you can notice you're doing that and see if you can put that on hold, just for the duration of the class. And there's a few reasons for this, but one is that part of our mind that does judging and evaluating, which is an incredibly important and useful part of our mind, but it's not useful during meditation. And so during the meditation, it's more helpful just to try your best to do the exercise. And then at the end of the class, you decide, sort of see where your mind state is, and then decide whether or not you think you liked it, you didn't like it, whether or not you think I'm any good or not or whatever. And if this is your first time, then at the end of the class when you make that decision, you've really only got 2 outcomes, mainly. One is you liked it. Great. It's cool. Okay, do some more. Come back next week and we'll do some more. The other is you don't like it. And I'd say if you don't like it, it is possible. There are a couple of possibilities if you don't like it. One is that this really isn't for you. And that's fine. It's not for everybody, actually. It's probably for most people, but it's not for everybody. And if you discover it's not for you, then that's great. It's one less thing that you think you ought to be doing that you're probably not doing. So that's good. Or there's another possibility, which is just that I'm not the guy to try and introduce you to it. So if you don't like it, what I would encourage you to do is to maybe just try somebody else. There's an awful lot of meditation online now. There are lots of really great apps. So just give it another go with somebody else. But anyway, of course, I hope you enjoy it. If you're very experienced, then I hope you get something new out of this. And if you've got a lot of experience with meditation, and at some point you find yourself screaming at the screen and saying, "No, you're saying it all wrong," or whatever, then I would just say, see if you can put it on hold, and maybe at the end of the class you might notice what I'm trying to do and where I'm coming from. And equally, I mean, of course, you might not, and you might still disagree. And if you do disagree, I would just invite you to maybe get in touch with me sort of afterwards and let me know what you think. And who knows, I might learn something too. Okay, let's get started. So when I normally teach, when I tell people that I teach meditation, the most common reaction I tend to get is from people saying, "Oh, meditation, that's great. I would love to meditate, but I never could because my mind's all over the place." And it always makes me a little bit sad because these people clearly have some preconception of meditation, which is that you have to have some incredible mind that can sit in perfect stillness and perfect focus for however long. They've probably seen some photograph of some beautiful woman on the front cover of Yoga magazine looking awfully serene and thinking, I could never do that. And you're probably right. I don't think I can do that. And what I want you to do, if you can, is to just let go of your preconceptions about what you think meditation is and what you think it and how you think it works. And that goes for people with experience too. By all means, keep your knowledge and what you've learned, but maybe just put it on hold for a little bit. And my main goal tonight is to suggest to you that you absolutely can meditate. Whether you've never meditated before or you've done it a bunch and you think you're no good at it, I promise you, you can meditate. Everybody can. And I'm going to prove it in about 20 seconds. So, what I'd like everybody to do, and please do participate. I know it's tempting with the internet there and to go elsewhere, but please try and participate in the exercises as much as you can. And this is the first one, which is that I simply want you to, wherever you are, maybe to sit up straight and just take a nice deep breath in and let it out. And there you go. So, if you manage to do that, you can meditate. I promise. Now, that isn't quite a meditation, but it's really close. And in fact, all you have to do to turn that into a meditation is simply to pay attention to the air as you breathe in and as you breathe out. That's all. Just notice the sensation of the air. So let's try that again. So this time I'm going to ask you to, once again, take a nice deep breath in and let it out, but really see if you can just pay attention to the sensation of the air. So, nice deep breath in, paying attention, and then let it out. Paying attention to the sensation of the air. And there you go. And that's meditation, more or less. It's true that in meditation we will often take a few deep breaths at the beginning, but then we tend actually just to breathe normally. You don't have to breathe deeply throughout the meditation or anything. But apart from that, that's pretty much a meditation. And you might sort of think, oh, there has to be more to it than that. And there is and there isn't. In one aspect, that's pretty much it. You breathe and you pay attention to your breathing. And we're really in this meditation, and there are many different types of meditation, and we'll, over the 12 weeks, we're going to look at many, many different. But in this particular technique, that's pretty much it. We're not actually doing anything. You're just sitting, breathing, and noticing your breath. Now, of course, there is a difficulty with meditation, and that is that it's extremely difficult to hold your attention on your breathing for any length of time. In fact, usually maybe even within a single breath, you'll find your mind wanting to go somewhere else. It'll be wanting to think, wanting to wonder if this is working, wondering if you're doing it right, wondering if this is going to make you feel more relaxed. You don't feel more relaxed yet. Your mind might go in all sorts of different directions very, very quickly. And that is completely normal. Everybody that meditates has a mind that wants to wander. It's what minds do. Doesn't matter. I've been doing this over 30 years. My mind wanders. The Dalai Lama's mind wanders. It's what happens in meditation. So please, if I can stress two things maybe. One is that you can do this. And the second thing is, please don't believe this misconception that meditation requires you to have this perfect focus and not get distracted. You are going to get distracted. Many, many, many times. And that's fine. That's part of the meditation. It's part of the learning process of meditation. So anyway, so let's try and build up a little bit from 1 breath to 3 breaths. And just see if you can hold your attention on the breathing for 3 breaths, or see if you notice, even within 3 breaths, your mind trying to interrupt and trying to make your attention go somewhere else. So, sitting wherever you're sitting, and I'd recommend sort of sitting comfortably but alert. So it's best not to slouch too much, because we are paying attention in this exercise. So sitting up straight, but comfortable, and just take a nice deep breath in, paying attention, and let it out, paying attention. Just see if you can do that for 2 more breaths. In and out. And in and out. And there you go. That's it. So, so that's basically meditation. For those of you who'd never meditated before, you have now meditated. But I want to stress that there is this misconception amongst lots of people about the fact that if your mind wanders, that you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. It's just what happens. So now what I'd like to do is to try and extend that for 3 minutes. And I'm going to leave you on your own for a lot of this in silence. And I'll set it up and I'll talk you into it and I'll introduce you to it and I'll talk you out of it. But then for the 3 minutes, I'm actually going to put a different graphic up on the screen because, I don't know, it's just my thing. But with only a few exceptions, I think it's a little bit weird watching people meditate. And I don't think I'm one of those exceptions. So I'm actually just going to put a graphic on, but I'm still going to be here and I'll guide you out of it. But so I'll guide you through it. But the thing I really want you to do in these 3 minutes is just to notice when your mind starts to try to think about something other than your breathing. And it might be, you're wondering if you're doing it right, or whether it's working, or whether this is going to make you feel less stressed, or you might start wondering, how does this work, or why does this work, or any number of things, or your mind might go somewhere else to any of the things going on in the world or in your life right now. And that's fine, and that's going to happen. And I really want to stress that's completely normal. All we want to do in this first exercise is to see if you can simply notice when your mind has gone somewhere. And once you notice that your mind has gone somewhere, to then go, yeah, that thing that English guy said would happen is happening, and I'm thinking, and now I've got to let it go. And so I'm just going to try and go back to the breath. And you just go back to the next breath and start again as if it was the first time. So you're going to breathe normally. I'll set it up with some deep breaths to try and relax you a little bit and settle you. But we're going to breathe normally and just try and hold your attention on your breathing. And you can pay attention to any aspect of your breathing, but usually the sensation of the air in your nostrils or in your mouth. Really paying close attention to that sensation and noticing where you feel it and what it really feels like. That's sort of a nice place to put our attention. But then your mind will go somewhere and you'll probably follow it, and that's fine. And then at some point you'll notice you're not paying attention to the breath, and that's fine. Just go back to the next breath. Okay, so if I can invite everybody to wherever you are, sit up straight. If you're on a chair, I'd recommend you put your feet flat on the floor, or if you're on a cushion, just try and make sure you've got a relatively solid base, so you're sitting comfortably but alert. And I'd invite you to close your eyes for this, but if you're more comfortable leaving them open, that's fine. Maybe just lower your gaze and soften your gaze a little bit. And take a nice deep breath in and let it out. When you're ready, take another nice deep breath in, but this time see if you can just hold it at the top for a moment and then let it out as slowly as you can. Then when you're ready, do that again. Take a nice deep breath in, pausing at the top. And again, breathe out as slowly as you can. And just try to notice the tension that you're holding in your body. And as you breathe out, just try and release any tension maybe in your shoulders, in your belly, in your hips, in your face, in your jaw. And now just allow your breathing to return to normal. And just rest your attention very gently on the in-breath and on the out-breath. And when you notice you've got distracted and your mind's going somewhere, that's fine. It's normal. This might happen many times. Just notice that it's happened. And then bring your attention back to the next breath and start again. We'll do this for about 3 minutes. There's just about a minute left, and just invite you to notice when the mind's gone somewhere without any judgment of the fact that it's gone somewhere. And then just gently return back to the next breath. So I'd encourage you to, or invite you to keep your eyes closed, but just to start to expand your attention beyond just your breathing, to notice your whole body. Notice the sensation of your feet. Notice your legs. Notice what you're sitting down on. Notice the heaviness of your shoulders. Notice how your body moves as you breathe. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And then when you're ready, I invite you in your own time, open your eyes and connect yourself back into your room. So, for those of you who've never done this before, congratulations, that's like a proper meditation. Well done. And if you're still confused or find it frustrating that your mind was all over the place, please don't worry about it. Just do your best and keep going with this. And don't think too much about it. Just try to do the exercise. When I teach this in a room with people in front of me, what I like to do after that first meditation is just to get everybody to put up their hand who got distracted. So I'll sort of say, okay, everybody who got distracted, please raise your hand. And everybody, of course, 100% of people raise their hands because everybody gets distracted. And the thing is that you might think that your mind is particularly distracted. And that's only because you can't see inside everybody else's mind. So if you could see inside everybody else's mind, you'd realize your mind's probably pretty much exactly the same as everybody else's. Sometimes it focuses, but a lot of times it doesn't, and it just goes wherever it goes in different places. In fact, if you could see into some people's, you'd probably realize, okay, so some people do have good concentration, and most people don't, and your mind's probably a whole lot better than some people's. Anyway, so what I hope you noticed is I hope you did notice that your mind kicks in very quickly and it wants to drag you away somewhere. That's what the mind does. It's a mind. Minds think. It's what they do. And this is really the first major insight of meditation practice, is that your mind is not as under your control as you think it is. I think most of us sort of have a sense of like, this is my mind and I know what it does and it's under my control. And what we learn very, very quickly, even in that first 3-minute meditation, is you learn that your mind is not as under your control as you think it is. You might say to your mind, okay, I'm going to focus on the breathing. And then it's like, okay, breathing. Okay, I got it. 1 breath in and 1 breath out. Oh, I got this breathing thing. I can do this meditation. I got this. Look, I'm completely focused. I wonder, how is this working? Am I feeling relaxed? I thought I was supposed to feel relaxed. I don't feel relaxed yet. Oh, I'm thinking. Or wherever your mind went. And that's what happens, is the mind wanders. There's a meditation teacher called Jack Cornfield who describes the mind as being like a 3-month golden retriever. He says, and we sort of say to our mind, like the golden retriever, we say, sit, sit, and maybe it sits for a second and then it runs off. And we come bring it back and we say, sit, and almost immediately it runs off. And sometimes it does fun things and funny things, and sometimes it does naughty things. And our mind is much the same as that. And most of our lives, we wander around without necessarily realizing that our mind is not really under our control. It's going wherever it goes, and we are following. And that's sort of one of the things we're starting to learn in meditation, is to start to notice where your mind goes from moment to moment. So we place our attention on the breathing and then it goes somewhere. We place our attention on the breathing and then the mind goes somewhere. and we tend to follow wherever it goes. Sometimes it goes to good places, sometimes it goes to bad places, sometimes it's helpful ideas, sometimes it's unhelpful ideas, but wherever it goes, we tend to follow. There's another meditation teacher who tells a story I love. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh, and he tells this story about a guy walking along a road. And as he's walking along, he sees another guy galloping towards him on a horse. And he clearly looks as though he's going somewhere urgent, and he yells out at the guy on the horse, where are you going? The guy on the horse looks kind of confused and says, why would you ask me? Ask the horse. And this is kind of our relationship with our mind. We go where it goes. We might think we are directing our mind, but most of the time that's not what's happening. It goes where it goes, and we follow. And so that's really the first insight of meditation. So please don't judge yourself because your mind wanders. It's going to. And you're going to follow it, just like everybody else does. But then there is this critical moment in meditation. The critical moment in meditation is when you notice that your mind went somewhere. So there you are, you're on your breath, and then your mind goes and you follow it and you start thinking about whatever it is you're thinking about. Food, the world, your to-do list, trying to solve a problem, whatever it is, a conversation you had earlier with somebody, an email that you got a reply, wherever your mind goes, it goes, and you follow, and that's fun. But then there's a moment where you go, I was supposed to be focusing on my mind, on my breathing, and I've gone somewhere else. That's the critical moment. In that moment, you are developing awareness of your own mind. So most of the time, you're just kind of on board with your mind. Whatever it's thinking, you're thinking. But in this moment, there's this critical moment where you and your thoughts are slightly separated. Because there's a part of you that is aware of your own thoughts. That's kind of critical. Most of the time, we sort of think we are our mind. I have a mind, I am my mind. My mind is who I am. That's my personality, it's my beliefs, it's my opinions, it's how I think, it does all these great things for me. I am my mind. And, of course, you are, sort of. But there's clearly also a part of you that can be aware of your own mind. And that's kind of a beautiful little thing that we're going to develop throughout this program. So, how do we do this? Well, literally we sit and we do nothing. You sit and you breathe and you do nothing. You sit and you notice your breathing. You place your attention very gently on your breathing. And then you see what happens next. Placing your attention on the breathing, and then you see what happens next. And what happens next is you have thoughts. Or you get irritated, or you get frustrated, or you get bored, or you get an itch, or you suddenly remember something you've got to do, and you go, I've got to stop this meditating thing. I've got to go and fix that thing that I've got to go and do. So all these things happen, and then we notice what happened. You might say, why? What's so great about this? Well, we'll get into some of the why in a little bit. But for now, please trust me that all we're doing here is nothing. We're going to sit. We're going to breathe. We're going to pay attention to the breathing, just resting our attention on the sensation of the air, and then notice what happens next. If it helps, there's a quote by Yogi Berra I love. And I'm just going to read it just to make sure I get it right. Yeah, Yogi Berra allegedly said, I don't know if he really said, but it's a great Yogi Berra type saying. And he says, you can observe a lot by just watching. You can observe a lot by just watching. It sounds obvious, and of course, being classically Yogi Berra, it's incredibly profound too. And that's all we're doing really in this type of meditation. We're just going to observe, and we're going to get a lot out of that. Okay, so we're going to expand this. We're going to try for 10 minutes now. So just invite you all to, once again, if you need to stretch, stand up, maybe and stretch. And then as soon as you can, try and find your seat to get comfortable but alert. It'd be very easy just to fall asleep if you lie down or if you slouch or something like that. And sleeping is great. Nothing wrong with sleeping, but it's just not what we're trying to do right now. So in meditation, at least in this kind of meditation, we want to try and stay alert while we're doing this kind of training. So sitting up straight, I'd say feet flat on the floor, hands wherever you like. You can put them on your knees, you can put them together, whatever works for you, whatever's comfortable. Once again, I'd invite you to close your eyes or just lower your gaze and soften your gaze very slightly. And I just invite you to take a nice deep breath in and let it out. Take another nice deep breath in, but this time hold it at the top. And then let it out as slowly as you can. Once again, releasing any tension you're holding in your body, in your shoulders, in your belly, in your hips. And just allow your breathing to return to normal. But as with each exhale, just see if you can just notice where you're holding tension in your body and just see if you can allow it just to relax a little bit. Soften the tension just with each breath. And now just allow your attention to rest very gently on the sensation of the air as it comes in and as it goes out. Maybe noticing how far into your throat or up your nose you can feel the air. Really exploring in detail exactly what that sensation of the air really feels like, looking at it very closely. And then whenever you notice your mind has gone somewhere, see if you can avoid judging yourself for that and just notice that it happened. That's what happened next, was what you got distracted. So see if you can let that go. Let that thought go and just start again with the next breath. And we'll do this for about 10 minutes. When you notice your mind is no longer paying attention to your breathing, just notice that happened. without any judgment. Just notice that your mind went somewhere. Then very gently refocus back on the next breath. And it really doesn't matter how many times that happens. You just keep returning your focus every time and start again. So we're about 3 minutes in. I'd just really like to encourage you to be very gentle with yourself. Whenever you notice you've got distracted, it's just what happens. Notice the mind went somewhere. Let it go. And then go back to the next breath. about 3 minutes left. If I may, I'd just like to encourage you to just keep trying to do this. Doesn't matter how many times your mind gets distracted. Doesn't matter how long you were distracted before you noticed. When you notice your mind's gone somewhere else, see if you can just very gently keep going back to the next breath. I'd just like to encourage you to take a nice deep breath in and let it out. And to keep your eyes closed, but to see if you can expand your attention to see your whole body, to notice your feet, to notice your body, to notice your breathing, and just to see if you can notice right now without trying to change it, without judging it, without suppressing it. Just see if you can notice right now how you're feeling. You might be feeling calm, but you might be feeling frustrated or sleepy or hungry or whatever it is that you're feeling. See if you can just simply notice that without resisting it. And take a deep breath in and let it out. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and connect yourself back into the room. So, congratulations, everybody. That's another meditation in. Okay, so this course, this is week one. My main goal in week one is simply to convince you that you can do this. And also, I want to try and give you a few reasons as to why you might want to keep doing this. I'm also going to give you a little bit of an outline as to what's going to happen in the next 12 weeks, so you can sort of get some context for what we're doing this week. It turns out meditation is a surprisingly large subject. Even though it's just this very sort of small area of activity, there are literally hundreds of different techniques and probably thousands of different variations on techniques. We're not going to cover all of them, but we're going to cover a few over the 12 weeks. We're going to look at a range of different techniques and variations. Sorry, I got lost there for a second. Yes, how are we going to break up the 12 weeks? So in the first half, roughly the first 6 weeks, we are going to look at a number of different techniques, but we're also going to be really digging down into the how and the what of meditation. So what is this meditation? What are these practices? What are the techniques? And really drilling down into how do you actually do meditation. So on the one hand, it is as simple as what we've said, which is that you pause, you stop, you breathe, you pay attention, and then when you get distracted, you bring your attention back. That's the foundation of it. But there is a little bit more going on than that. And so we're going to look in more detail as to what's going on. In the second half, we're going to really explore a lot more of the why. So we're going to look at more of the sort of psychological reasons, perhaps, or some of the benefits of meditation, about how this improves happiness, improves health, improves athletic performance, your career, improves relationships. So we're still going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be doing a lot of practice. We'll be meditating every week, usually 3 or 4 meditations a week. But I'll be exploring a little bit more about why this meditation thing is actually relevant and helps in your life. Some of the different meditations we're going to be covering. So in the first few weeks, we're going to be looking a lot more detail at this type of meditation, like what we're doing tonight, what I refer to as awareness meditation, because we're really building this awareness we have of our mind, but also of our body and also of our emotions. And with that awareness, there are a lot of interesting things that happen. So we're going to look at awareness meditation in quite a lot of detail. And then we're going to look at a technique known as mantra meditation, which is another one of the very, very popular meditation techniques. And I would gently suggest that there's a little bit of a kind of a war within the meditation world between like this awareness meditation, or what some people call mindfulness meditation, and the mantra meditation. And the awareness meditation people are like, oh no, ours is the best. It's like the original and whatever. And the mantra people are like, oh no, ours is the best. Like we get more of this kind of brainwave when we do our meditation. Anyway, I'm pretty agnostic on it. I think they're both extremely useful and both extremely powerful, and we're going to look at both. And then we're going to look at meditation, a couple of meditation techniques, what I would sort of say is more for the heart. So these are known as things like loving kindness meditation or compassion meditation. And one of the premises behind this type of meditation is that, you know, we're all loving people. It's part of how we're built as human beings, is that you have this capacity for love, kindness, generosity, compassion. You have that, and you know you have that. But the premise is that actually this is really a skill. These things like love, compassion, kindness, generosity are skills, and we may not practice them perhaps as much as we might. And in these exercises, you're going to explore how you can actually train yourself to really uncover and cultivate these innate skills you already have and to bring them out more. You might say, oh, I don't want to be a big softie or something like that. And what I'd say is just to hold any judgment you have of these meditation techniques. I was very skeptical for a very long time about this stuff. I used to work on Wall Street. I didn't really feel like I had much time for compassion. I was like, oh, I'm glad people do that. That's probably nice. Probably makes the world a better place. But I didn't think it was for me. And then eventually, after years, I finally got it, and I realized what's going on. And there's a lot more on offer here than you might think. This is not some soft skill. It's actually kind of a hard skill. And one of the biggest things you're going to do is you're going to learn how to apply some of these skills of compassion, kindness, love, generosity towards yourself. And that voice that you have that is relentlessly telling you that you're not good enough, you're not clever enough, disciplined enough, successful enough, thin enough, funny enough, whatever is your enough that you're not. We're going to start to explore how you can start to apply these skills through meditation and start to soften some of that self-judgment that you have in a constructive way. And we're going to look at some other meditation techniques as well, some more esoteric things along the way. So we're going to learn a lot. I'm going to teach you a lot. But ultimately, my goal is not actually to leave you with a whole bunch of information. My goal is actually to help you discover a practice that you will take with you for the rest of your life, and that you will do, hopefully, regularly, ideally every day, but hopefully regularly. Now, I don't want you to get guilty about this. I don't want you to feel bad if you don't meditate every day, if you miss a day or something like that. That's not your responsibility in this exercise. In this program, that's my responsibility. And we're going to look each week at slightly different ways in which you might be able to adopt this as a habit into your life. But that's on me, so don't worry too much about it. But that's ultimately what the goal is. And the goal is that over 90 days, you're going to learn this, you're going to develop these skills, you're going to really develop more skills in emotional balance and resilience. And so we're going to be doing this for 12 weeks, probably throw in a 13th week, just makes it 90 days, so 3 months. So in 3 months' time, if you can stick with this, and don't feel bad if you miss some days or you miss a week or whatever, that's fine. But just keep coming back as often as you can. Do as much as you can of this. And reach out on the website. I'm happy to give as much advice as possible. But over the next 90 days, we want to see if we can develop these skills. Because the world is in a really, really tough place today. It's pretty horrific. We're all feeling it. But the horrible truth is that in 90 days, it's probably going to be a lot worse than it is today. And, learning meditation skills and mindfulness skills and all these different techniques, that isn't going to change what's going to happen to the world. The world is going to be in a really tough place 90 days from now. But if you can, over the next 90 days, be as gentle with yourself as you possibly can. Obviously, your health is going to come first. That's the most important thing. But the second most important thing you can develop over the next 90 days is some of these tools and techniques to give yourself mental and emotional balance and resilience. So I hope you'll stick with me over the next 90 days and do your best. Do your best with it. Okay, time for another meditation. So if I can invite you all to sit up straight, feet flat on the floor, maybe have a quick stretch, and put your feet flat on the floor. Take a nice deep breath in and let it out. Take another nice deep breath in, holding it at the top. And then let it out as slowly as you can. Just easing the tension out of your body as you breathe out. And now allow your breathing to return to normal. Just resting your attention very gently on the sensation of the in-breath and on the sensation of the out-breath. When you notice your mind has got distracted, be very gentle with yourself about that. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Just notice that your mind went somewhere and then let it go. Return your attention back to the next breath and start again. And we'll do this for about 10 minutes. So we're about 3 minutes in. Just like to remind you to be very gentle with yourself. When you notice that your mind has gone somewhere, it's just what minds do. Doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Just notice that it happened. See if you can let go of the thought. And then allow yourself to return back to the next breath. And simply start again. There's around 3 minutes left. Once again, I'd just like to encourage you to just keep trying, no matter how many times your mind has gone somewhere. Or if your mind went somewhere for most of the meditation, that's fine, it doesn't matter. But when you notice your mind has gone somewhere, just keep persevering. Just keep going back to that next breath and starting again. I'm going to ask you to keep your eyes closed, but to take a nice deep breath in and let it out. And just to expand the area of your attention to notice your whole body. Noticing the sensation of your feet. Noticing the seat that you're sitting in. Noticing the heaviness of your shoulders. Noticing sensation of your face. Just noticing all these different sensations you can feel throughout your body if you pay attention. And then just see if you can notice once again without judging it, without trying to change it. Just notice how you feel right now, whatever it is. If it's a pleasant emotion or if it's an uncomfortable emotion, see if without having a conversation about it or trying to avoid it or resist it, just see if you can simply notice what's true about your emotions right now. And take another deep breath in and let it out. And when you're ready, open your eyes and connect yourself back into the room. Okay, so if you're new to this, and since it's week one, I sort of assume people are new, even if you've got a lot of experience, I think the logical question or the obvious question is, so what? So I breathe. I notice my breathing. I get distracted. I bring it back. Who cares? Like, what's the big deal? Why do we care? So, in the second half of the 12 weeks, we're going to look a lot more into detail about why this practice is so beneficial and helpful in your life. But I just want to give you like a quick overview or a quick, like, very high level summary of like why I think we do this. And I think Justin's sort of take on this is, I think there are three reasons why we meditate. The first one is, and this is why almost everybody comes to meditation the first time, is people want to feel better. We just want to feel a bit better. And we heard meditation's good for stress or relaxation. And so, we want a bit more of that and we want to feel a bit better. So we want to meditate. And you know what? It works for most people. For most people who meditate, even if you just do it occasionally, you meditate for a bit and you feel a bit better. That's great. Second reason is, I think it's a training. So we are training ourselves in a whole bunch of different skills, but primarily at first, we're training ourselves in this skill of awareness, of becoming more aware of our mind, of our body, of our emotions, of our reactions. And we're starting to notice how we react to things, we're really noticing who we are. We're starting to become more familiar with our mind and how it works. And the premise behind this training thing is that your mind is amazing. It's an absolutely incredible thing. It's phenomenal. It does so many things. Lives your life for you. It manages relationships, career, finances. It remembers to do laundry once in a while. I mean, it's incredible what it can do. And yet, the other flip side of this is that it is fundamentally flawed in a couple of different ways. And we're going to get more into that next week and looking a little bit more detail about how this is. But just suffice to say that there are a couple of ways in which there's nothing you can do about it. It's just part of being human. But there are a couple of ways in which your mind is really designed for your survival and not for your happiness. And that a couple of these aspects that are designed for survival are actually kind of programmed to make you miserable and make you a little bit crazy. So we're going to look next week, we'll look more in detail as to what some of that hardwiring errors are. But you're probably aware, like, it's not just the hardwiring of being human that makes your mind errors, gives your mind errors. You've got all this soft wiring, or what I call the soft wiring, which is your upbringing, your parents and school and relationships and life and these experiences that damage us and cause us all these problems. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in our psyche, hardwired errors in our psyche, and then a whole bunch of the soft wiring. And in meditation, one of the things that we're starting to do is, in the training, we're starting to be able to notice our own mind. We become more familiar with our own mind, our own emotions, and our own feelings, reactions, things like that. So that's one aspect. There's a lot more going on than just awareness and this whole thing about the mind. We're going to learn a bit more about focus, concentration, things like non-judgment, curiosity, this weird term called non-striving. So we're going to do a bunch of training in all of these different things, and I'll explain as we look at each of these details, like why that's important for meditation and also why that is so helpful for your lives. And of course, there's this whole training around compassion, love, kindness, incredibly powerful stuff. So there's the training aspect. So we want to feel better. There's a training aspect. And then the last piece is just that I want to say, people come because they want to feel better. I get it. They want to feel better. Or people have heard about the training and they go, oh yeah, okay, I want those skills. I want to be better at this. I want to be better at that. And I want to be better at these things. And I want a better mind. And I want to understand myself better and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. And that is fantastic. But there is another dimension to this. And that is simply that meditation's been done for thousands of years. And obviously this mostly comes to us from religious practices and things. And it is that people throughout history, across all cultures, all traditions, have discovered that there's this meditation thing. And in meditation and other contemplative practices, there is the possibility of something else. And I'm not that interested in trying to tell you what that something is or trying to tell you what you're going to discover. I just encourage you to be open that people have been doing this for thousands of years, because there is the possibility of something else on offer. And it might be very profound, and it might not be. It might be simple stuff that you discover, but there is something else possible for you to discover in meditation. And part of this is just the fun of finding out what that is for yourself. So feeling better, this whole training aspect, and then just be open to something else. See what else. So that's hopefully 3 reasons. Hopefully that's intrigued you enough to come back for next week. Okay, so we're running out of time. So we've just about got time for one more meditation and to wrap up. So if I can invite you to stretch if you need to. And then as soon as you can, just take a seat, sitting up straight, feet flat on the floor. Take a nice deep breath in. And let it out, just releasing any of the tension in your body. And then allow your breathing, I should say, allow your breathing to return to normal. Then we're going to do a slight variation on the breathing meditation this time. So what I'd like you to do is to allow your breathing to return to normal. And just resting your attention on the breathing as you did before. Just noticing the in-breath and noticing the out-breath. But with the next in-breath, I'd like you to count 1, and then with the out-breath, 2. And with the next in-breath, 3. And with the out-breath, 4. And I'd like you to keep doing this up to 10. So keep counting your breaths in and out up to 10. And then when you get to 10, just like you to start to count back down again to 1. And as before, even with the counting, you'll notice your mind will still want to wander. You'll still be solving problems, thinking about things, whatever. But just keep the counting going, and if you completely lose track of the counting, or you find yourself up to 23 because you totally missed it when you got to 10, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It's fine. It happens. Just start again at 1. That's all. It's just to give your mind something else to hold on to while we're doing this exercise. So counting up to 10, and then back down to 1. And we'll do this for about 10 minutes. we're about 3 minutes in. Once again, just invite you to be very gentle with yourself. If you notice that your mind has gone somewhere, or you've lost count, or you've gone up to some big number, you missed 10, doesn't matter. When you notice that you've got distracted, just bring yourself back to the next breath. And just start again with 1. There's just a few minutes left. This is the last meditation of the day, so just really encourage you to keep the effort going, to notice, or every time you notice that your mind went somewhere, see if you can keep doing that, keep making that little bit of effort to start again, to go back to the beginning, rest your attention on the next breath, and start again at 1. I'd like to invite you to keep your eyes closed, but to take a nice deep breath in and let it out. once again, just to expand the area of your attention beyond your breathing or the counting. And just notice your whole body, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Just noticing the huge number of little sensations that your body is sending you. Your feet, your legs, where you're sitting in the chair or on a cushion. Sensations of your hands, wherever they are. Noticing your body moving as you breathe. Once again, just seeing if you can notice how you're feeling right now, without resisting it or resenting it if you can. I know you might not like the uncomfortable feelings. You might want to feel good, and I understand that. Of course I do. But for this exercise, just see if you can simply notice how you're feeling without resisting it, trying to change it, or having a conversation about it. Just noticing how you feel right now. And take a deep breath in and let it out. And when you're ready, open your eyes and connect yourself back into the room. So, that's the end of week 1. Thank you very much, everybody, for supporting this, for participating, for encouraging me to do this. We'll be back, same time, same place. Well, a different YouTube link, and I'll try not to screw it up next time. So we'll be back next week, and I'll post everything in terms of YouTube links and all that kind of stuff on the website. So that's RealWorldMeditation.org, and all of that stuff is under events. I'm also going to be doing this week 8:30 a.m. meditations live here on YouTube. And again, those links will be posted on the website. So every morning, 8:30, it'll be very short. It's just going to be what we did today. So it's just going to be very short meditations. And so I hope that some of you will be able to join that. If I can encourage you, if you can't join that, I'm just going to ask you to see if you can try and do some meditation this week. Ideally every day, but it doesn't matter if you just remember once or whatever. See if you can do as much as you can, but don't do too much. Just try and do small, manageable amounts. So all I'm going to ask you to do is to try that counting exercise. Just count up to 10 and then back down again to 1, and see if you can do that 5 times. That's it. So that should take anywhere from 5 to about 10 minutes or something like that. So it's about 100 breaths. So if you count, not even whole breaths, just 100 in and outs. So that's 50 whole breaths. That might be about 5 minutes. And just see if you can do that. Maybe first thing in the morning, maybe at some point during the day. Just take 5 minutes. It's just good to keep the practice going. So small, achievable, small. And if you fail, don't worry about it. We'll try something different next week. But just keep at it. And best of luck. And I'm very sorry I ran over. But thanks to those of you who stuck around. And please get in touch by the website or reply to my emails or whatever with any questions you've got, concerns, advice. Let me know how this went. Thank you very much, everybody. Be well.